Welcome back, everybody. I am now finally getting to speak to Niki Koss about her wonderful movie coming out November 16th, which is tomorrow, called Night Night, a lovely romantic comedy. Not quite. Not quite. Welcome to the program, Nikki.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Very, very exciting. Your first feature coming out. How's it going?
Oh gosh, it's been a whirlwind. It's been really an amazing journey, and it's just weird to think we're finally here. And I honestly just realized when you said the word tomorrow that it was coming out tomorrow, and this is my first interview of the day. So very surreal. It's very surreal.
Yeah. So how's the again? I've seen some of the photos on Instagram from the premiere and kind of the red carpet, so to speak, event. How does it differ being the director of a feature on those premieres as opposed to being the actress, which you've done quite a bit?
It feels like there's a little bit more not so much that there's more at stake, but it's a different kind of more at stake, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I also produced the film, and my production company, K Factor Films, we put on all of the premiere events and sort of planned them and did all of the prep work for them. So there was a lot of pressure in that sense where I was like, it was hard to enjoy it. And hard to be in the moment because I just wanted to make sure no disasters happened or there were no fires I needed to put out and everything went smoothly. So I definitely had to consciously be reminding myself the whole time to just try to stay in the moment. But it was really fun and it felt a little bit more special than when I'm at a premiere that I'm acting in because it when I'm doing that, it feels like I'm part of someone else's baby or part of a whole community's baby. And this was felt like everyone else was part of my baby. So it was just a little different.
Yeah, and with this particular one, again, you know exactly when things are happening, when it's rolling out. You planned it as an actress, is you've done the work, and then maybe 10 months later, you get the call to actually go somewhere, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It just kind of comes out of nowhere, and all you have to do is just look good and show up. And
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely feel, I think, more confident when I'm doing a screening with something I'm acting in as opposed to directing, just because I have more experience in that arena. And
Mhm.
there's just less on the line, there's less at stake. But this was terrifying, I have to admit.
How's sleeping been for you the last couple of days?
Surprisingly pretty good. I need it. So every time I hit the pillow, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, because this is actually one of the questions I was going to be asking you about is when do you actually sleep? Because with producing, directing, everything else related to the premiere right now, but you have many projects in the pipeline, you're also an actress. When is it possible for you to actually get sleep in?
Believe it or not, I always get 8 hours of sleep every night.
Yeah.
I work really, really hard, but I cannot function if I don't get a proper amount of sleep. So that's like always my number one priority is making sure I schedule it accordingly and fit that in. So sleep is always in the mix somehow.
Yeah, and again, as a director, especially, right? Because
Oh
you and I
yeah.
have been to the overnight shoots. How do you deal with it as a director? Do you then, hey, Nikki needs to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm gonna schedule my shoot around my sleeping schedule.
I
Is
mean,
that
sometimes it definitely comes into play. It's
okay?
a lot harder to sleep when I'm working on set,
Yeah.
especially when you have like they give the actors and the crew a 12-hour turnaround, but we're still on set making sure everything gets cleaned up and everything gets ready for the next day and just tying up a bunch of loose ends. So it's a lot harder when we're on set. The one day off a week I had on night, I did not leave the couch all day. I was just like zoned in on just TV show and just brain off. But my producing partners know how important sleep is to me, so they try to
Yeah.
help me out.
And listen, it's so important. I'm the same way. If I don't get for me, 8.5 hours is usually my kind of time. But if I don't get it, next day, fine, I'm okay. But you do that for a few days in a row,
Oh yeah.
I definitely don't feel myself. And it's also when you're going to sleep. I actually read a study recently, which I don't want to scare anybody with, but this is, a study. I'll reference it below so you can click on it and see for yourself. But the study basically says that, the American Heart Association and other organizations saw that if you're not going to sleep between 10 and 11 at night, then the risk of heart disease goes up by 25%.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, along with many other ailments. So
Right.
I, having a 17-year-old, a 12-year-old, my wife was a night owl. It's a constant struggle trying to get these cats in bed so I can go to sleep normally. So yeah, with acting and shooting schedules, I don't know what's possible anymore.
Yeah, well, kids are kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, because you can control them either, and you love them, and you're invested, and it's all sorts of emotions wrecked
Yeah.
into one. Yeah, and I guess from the perspective of choosing the right words, being in the moment, all of those things. Yes, parenting is very much like acting. Apparently, I didn't realize it just till now. Thank you, Nikki.
I'm just here to provide the wisdom for you, Alan.
You are. And speaking of wisdom, you're a very wise and kind of cerebral person because the more I listen to you talk, the more I, watch the interviews that you have done, you keep on talking about manifesting.
Mhm.
And, law of attraction, manifesting, it's been a huge part of my life. And it's a kind of ingrained into who I am as a being. And I heard that same thing with you, going with the flow, seeing what the universe brings, and manifesting. When did you start with that? How did you figure out that that works for you?
That's a great question. When I was in middle school, obviously I was having a tough time like every other middle schooler. And my mom told me, fake it till you make it. And she was referencing just how to be confident and how to feel confident because I remember I was very stuck on I wanted to be confident, but I didn't know how to be. And I think that really goes hand in hand with manifestation. And I truly believe that in life, if you want something, you have to go make it happen. And there's always a way to do it. You just have to figure it out what that way is. And manifesting is a huge element to that. And the universe, whatever's out there, is definitely a huge element to that as well. But your drive and your formula that you create to achieve what you want to achieve is number one. And I think if you go for it and you go for it with everything you have and your passion and your determination, the universe sort of takes your lead and follows along with you. And I really would attribute so much of where I am today to manifesting and just putting out what I want verbally and emotionally, and letting the universe, I keep saying the universe, whatever that is, know. And I think it's really as simple as just verbalizing it and saying it out loud, and telling yourself and telling other people and being consistent about it, and then just going for it and figuring out how to do it because no one really knows. You have to figure everything out, right?
Precisely. Yeah, and then finding that really, really fine kind of paper thin balance between allowing and pushing.
Yes.
Uh, that's
Paper.
that's been yeah. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I was saying that for me, that's always been my Achilles heel, if you will, to the attraction process. Sometimes I push way too much instead of just sitting back and allowing what I want to manifest. So
Yeah.
have you found similar, or it works better for you?
Yeah, I'm definitely a control freak and I can't sit still. And when I get something in my head, yeah, I'm sure you understand that I want. The pushing really comes into play. So I think it's just a big help for me has been surrounding myself with people that constantly remind me to let go and let whatever else is out there take the lead when need be. Especially with acting. Like I when you audition for a role, it can mean the whole world to you. It can be everything you're thinking about for a week straight. I'm sure you understand this. And then you go in, 5 minutes later, you're out and you're done, and you won't hear anything from anyone either ever or, for weeks, whatever it is. So that has really, really helped me with the let go aspect of it. Because you have really no choice but to let go and just move on to the next thing. It's harder with directing and producing because you have control over everything. So I find that I need to remind myself to balance and to make sure I'm taking enough time to just enjoy life and go get some good meals and get some good wine and play stupid games with my friends and family. So a balancing is definitely my way to, you know, make that work for me.
Yeah, and you bring up an excellent point yet again with your wisdom in terms of acting, helping you let go of things, because you're absolutely right. You know, as actors, we learn that skill of you do the audition and then you let it go. He even stopped calling my friends after having the audition because I've already let go, and
Yeah,
they bring me back in of,
totally.
well, how did it go? How do you feel? What do you think? I don't want to think. I let it go. I'm done with that. I've completed that journey. If it happens and they'll call, they will.
Yes.
So you're right.
It's tough. It's definitely tough. It's one of the reasons I've really been wanting to transition more into directing is because that loss of control is, at least for me, it's really anxiety provoking and it's just
Yeah.
a constant struggle. So those actors out there, they have it tough.
So now being on the other end of it, do you, because again, people say that rejection is the constant part of acting. It's not rejection. It's not hearing anything ever.
Yes.
For 98% of the time, you just don't hear anything. So now when you're actually casting and you're providing, that ability for actors to land gigs, I know you're a big fan of offering roles as opposed to doing auditioning, which I love, and thank you for that. But do you let people know when they submit an audition? Do you at least say something, or you just don't have enough time to?
Oh, that's such a good question. I don't say anything, usually just because there's no time, and I guess protocol kind of makes it sort of go in that direction. But
Yeah.
if anyone ever asks me, I'm happy to, provide feedback or let them know exactly where we're at in the process. And if it's someone I know well or have worked with before or personally asked to audition, then I'll say something.
That's very cool. I also read, just on the acting thing for a second. I read or saw you during one of the interviews. You mentioned that sometimes you don't even learn lines until you're in the makeup chair.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Tell me more about that part.
So yeah, I'm a really uh like diligent person, especially when it comes to work, and I'm very prepared and I do a lot of research. But for whatever reason, when I was working on Famous in Love and I was doing, several episodes at a time sometimes and just going into the next one, I kind of got in the habit of just learning my lines when I got there, just because it was like I was tired when I got home and I just was lazy and wanted to watch TV. And then I realized that that worked better for me as an actor. And it just sort of allowed me to let go and stop stressing. And just on a technical basis, if I prepare too hard with acting, I get into my head. And, as an actor, the number one goal is to get out of your head. It's very different when I'm directing. I have my little binder and I have literally everything planned out down to like the socks of the actor. Like it's probably too much on the opposite end of the spectrum. But yeah, when I'm acting, I just want to like get there, figure it out on the day, and just see what comes out.
Yeah. Are you, so now being the director, uh, if an actor on set tells you, yeah, I really didn't learn my lines yet, let me just get in the makeup chair and start learning, would that throw you, or you'd be like, okay, that's your process, I'm okay with it?
Yeah, so obviously every actor has a very different process, and
Yeah.
there's no right answer, and whatever works for them, I'm sure, know works for them at that point if they're a working actor. If the actor gets to set and their lines are memorized, I don't care what got them there. They could do, I mean, they could be like doing weird ceremonies in the bathroom for all I care. I just want to make sure like they're prepared, they know
Yeah.
their lines, and they're ready to kind of play and make some fun choices and throw it all away if need be.
Very cool. Now, in prep to do night night, and you are like me in that regard. You don't like scary movies. You don't like horror. This is not your genre. I got nightmares after watching the trailer for Night Night. I did that right before I went to sleep. Not a great idea. Uh, and then you said that for like a month and a half, you were watching every day a film from that genre. How is it possible, and how did you survive that for
I'll
a
tell
whole
you
month?
my secret. I always watched it in the morning, and I would
Okay,
make sure all
better.
the lights were super bright, and then I would like I my job that whole month and a half was to prepare for the movie, and it sounds silly that I was just watching movies all day, but I mean, it was hugely beneficial in my preparation work, but I would always follow it up with like some stupid episode of like The Bachelor or
Yeah,
something that just kind of boosted my mood and made me forget. But there were a few moments where I had to like I Midsommar, I had to like pause it several times and like take a walk around the neighborhood and just kind of like get it out of my system because sometimes it was really scary.
yeah, yeah. I totally understand that, and
Yeah,
it's one of the reasons why, as an actor, by the way, I don't do horror films. It's like it's the energy is just not my energy that I want to swim in for whatever is the period of the shoot. So,
totally. Yeah,
yeah.
it's tough, especially when you get to set and you're like literally in a horror film in real life, and it's like it's equally as terrifying in the moment as it is watching it back on television, but
Yeah.
we got to do what we got to do.
And then now you've again, in terms of playing parts, I appreciated when you said that it's most fun as an actor to play a part that's different from yourself because then you can be free.
Yeah,
The most fun I ever had on set was playing a drugged up, sex addict, motivational speaker who is a
yes.
salesperson for ED, drugs. That was
Love
the
that for you.
most yeah, it was typecasting. I know. Uh, it's the most fun I've ever had because I can just go and enjoy it. I can go big and I don't have to think about it. I can just be that dude, and that was the most fun I ever
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I think that's why a lot of actors say they love playing villains
had.
because you get to like pull out those innermost alter egos that never get to see the light of day, and you're like, go ahead, it's your turn now. Do your thing.
So how do you then? Because I know you've played a lot of characters who are, not the nicest people in the world. How do you kind of separate and get out of that skin and get back to Nikki?
Yeah, I don't know why I always get cast as the mean girl. I must look like a bitch or something.
Do not. But I'm the type of guy that gets cast as the neighbor who sounds and seems like a genuine and fun guy who's gonna kill you at the end. So I don't know. Maybe people see that I'm psychotic. Apparently, I don't
Maybe
know what that is.
brunettes, we just get like a bad rap or
I
something.
think that's it. That's it. That's it.
Uh, um, but that's a good question. It's easy for me when I'm doing, like, for example, on Famous in Love, it was easy for me to go in and out of the role just because it was so fun and it was very light.
Mhm.
But when like if I'm playing like a killer in a really intense role, and it's hard to get out of it at the end of the day. And um, when I'm shooting a film for several weeks at a time, uh, it's it's hard to get back to Nikki until I'm done.
Yeah.
And when I go home, I'm just so drained. I just want to watch TV and go to bed. And your life when you're shooting a movie, as you know, is being on set. Like you are living and breathing the film. So there is no like really getting back to me while I'm in that process. And then when the second we wrap that movie, I can flip the switch and kind of it takes like 24 hours, but I can go back to me and be with my friends and have fun and what have you. But when I'm in the process of shooting, it's hard.
Yeah. Nikki, musicals. That's what does it for me. It's
Oh
watching musicals.
God. Watching musicals.
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say
watching
being in
musicals.
them. I was like, I wouldn't subject
No,
to that.
no. Well, I would love to be in musicals, but you know, my vocal range is a bit like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's one of my things. I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to be Fred Astaire. I wanted to do that. It's just it's not quite available to me. But no, watching musicals, that's what gets me back. Like 20 minutes, and I'm back to feeling Alan again.
Oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love it. I love like cheesy reality romance shows. That's my
Mhm.
little guilty pleasure.
Hallmark for me, you know, anytime I feel like the world is going nuts, I turn on Hallmark. I watch, you know, one of the. It works perfectly. It's the right energy.
Maybe I'll have to try Hallmark. I'm not a Hallmark girl. I don't even think I've seen a non-Christmas Hallmark movie, so maybe I'll have to dabble in Hallmark later.
You should. I'm happy to give you some
Yeah.
suggestions. There's some really good stuff out there. All right, let's get back to night night before we call it night night.
Okay.
Because I know you have a ton of other stuff that you need to be doing. So, what attracted you most to night night, and how did that project come about for you?
So it was really interesting. So the writer, Robert Johnson, he's actually the chief of police of this town in Texas that we shot in. And it was his first screenplay that he ever wrote. And he called me up and he's like, with this amazingly awesome, thick Southern accent. He's like, "Hey, Nikki, I wrote this script. I wrote it in 48 hours. It's a psychological thriller based off, many different people I've come into contact with through my time on the force, and I want you to be in it." And I really wanted to. I'd been directing for about 8 years at that point, and I just really wanted to direct my first feature. I was ready. So I was like, let me take a look. I really enjoyed it. And I said, let's, let's edit it a bit together and get it to, a place where we can both feel really confident and comfortable with it. And I'll tell you what, I won't be in it, but I will direct it if you'll have me. And he was like, okay, sure, let's do it. And I'm so grateful for him for trusting me with his baby. Um, and then we went out and we found some amazing folks to produce it with us, and an amazing executive producer, and we shot it. And it was really a wild experience shooting it in the town that he is the police chief of, because he runs that town.
I know. When you said that there is a lot writing on this, I didn't realize that going to jail is a part of it, but apparently, apparently so.
Yeah, if he ever tried to put me in jail, I think I don't even know at this point. We've gotten very, very close, and he's family for me now. So I think I got my get out of jail free card in Corsicana, Texas.
Okay, it's always a good thing to have. And for people who are watching, who are thinking about going to see the movie, and by the way, the link is right below this video. Please go click on it. What would be the number one reason why people should watch
I think it's unique, and personally, I it's been a very long time since I've seen a thriller uh, that felt original and unique. And I don't want to, it's hard not to like toot my own horn too much when
it?
answering that question, but I do feel confident in that it's definitely different. And I don't think anyone who read the script was expecting it to look the way it looked. I mean, the opening scene, it does feel like it's a romantic comedy, and I kind of wanted to parallel these two totally different worlds aesthetically, and the world that exists on the page. So I think it's fun for that reason. And of course, the acting I think is really great. I think we have a great cast, and Brenna and Taylor and Nick and Derek. I mean, everyone just did a really, really great job. And Brenna just honestly is like hypnotizing with her talent and her beauty and just her presence. So that would be my answer.
Very cool. Okay. Well, I'll promise you this. I will watch it tomorrow or the day after
Promise?
in the morning with the blinds open with lots of sunshine, and then I'll watch it and I'll let you know what I think.
It's really not that scary, I promise.
Okay. All right. I feel better. Nikki, it's such a pleasure getting to know you. Best of luck with everything that you have on your plate, and I'm so happy that you're getting enough sleep while doing it.
Oh, you too, and I really appreciate the interview. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. And thanks for tuning in, everybody, into another episode of Let's Dive In. Go follow Nikki, go watch the movie, and comment below. Let's see what you think. Take care, everybody.